We eat bottom feeders for lunch.
Really? They're good, rolled in flour and fried with some Cajun spices?
DiscJockeyAmerica Radio is on the air. DJA Radio, a new concept in DJ information and entertainment. The only radio station where mobile DJs can find out what's happening in their industry, improve their shows, make more money, and waste tons of time. If you just tuned in, your business just got better. DJA Radio, the talk of the DJ world. And now, being Jon Bruce.
It's an attention deficit disorder tour of the amazing mind of Jon Bruce. It's almost like being Jon Bruce. It's really weird. It's all random, all uniquely Jon Bruce. You are cordially invited along for the ride.
We get together like this every weekend.
Foxtrot, Alpha, Sierra, Kilo.
Podcasting from the DJA Radio Network headquarters via RSS feed to your earbuds, this is a special edition of Being Jon Bruce. I'm Mark Ferrell, filling in for Jon Bruce on this special edition of Being Jon Bruce. Jon Bruce isn't available to be Jon Bruce today for extenuating circumstances beyond the control of Jon Bruce's being. Today's show is a departure from normalcy in order to keep the tradition of Jon's abnormal Saturday show while he's away. I have the windows open, so hopefully we can catch some ambient outside sound to contribute to Jon Bruce's show today. Now, don't worry, Jon Bruce is being Jon Bruce somewhere else today, so he hasn't completely ceased being Jon Bruce, but is only being Jon Bruce in a different dimension or a parallel universe that we currently just cannot access. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist or that he isn't being Jon Bruce. The normally scheduled Being Jon Bruce will return next week when Jon is beamed back to us and materializes in this universe. I'm Mark Ferrell. This is DJA Radio, and welcome to Being Jon Bruce. Today's show is titled Eyes Shut Open. I'll be trying something new today. Most of you know that being a DJ and being an advocate for the professionalization of our industry is a passion of mine, but many of you don't know that I have another deep passion. I love the mountains. I love traveling through the mountains. I like climbing the mountains, photographing them. I like rock climbing. I love mountaineering in the mountains, which is where mountaineering really should be done. Just a second, a little cup of coffee. So every year, I go on an extended backpacking trip in the Sierra Nevada mountains of California. Hopefully I'll post some pictures on my blog. The Sierra Nevada mountains are considered some of the most beautiful in the world, and I'm a relatively short drive away, just about 300 miles from some of my favorite trailheads, to this absolutely beautiful alpine paradise. Now, some trips that I take are short. They're just 7 days in and out. Others are a luxurious 2 weeks. 14 days in the mountains is fabulous. The one that I'd like to share with you today was a trip that I took a couple of years ago. It was a 7-day trip. It covered about 35 miles, but I'm only going to share with you a portion of that because we only have a few minutes for the podcast. I usually go with some friends who love the adventure of a backcountry trip in the Sierra. Sometimes I introduce new friends to the experience, which is always fun for me, and hopefully for them. Occasionally I go it alone. Rebecca hates that, of course, because she's afraid that I'm going to be eaten by a bear. But I almost always, on those solo trips, meet new friends and exchange pictures later on, sometimes even catching up with them in the mountains again. Now, the trip that I'm talking about today was with two friends named Dave and Al, who they live actually up in the area that we started the trip from, around Mammoth Lakes, California. This trip, as most trips are, was absolutely awesome. And as usual, it gave me time and space, it gave me challenges, it gave me accomplishment, and it gave me perspective. The trips almost always never fail doing those things. Because I only have a short time with the podcast, like I said, I'm not going to tell you the whole trip, but concentrate just on the approach to and the descent of a high Sierra pass called pica coal. More in a minute. I'm Mark Ferrell, and this is a special edition of Being Jon Bruce on DJA Radio.
Foxtrot, Alpha, Sierra, Kilo, Charlie.
There are 5 key elements to a good world domination plan. 1. Some sort of thermonuclear device. 2. Some sort of exotic delivery system. 3.
DJA Radio. DJA Radio is on the air.
And that means cool prizes all the time.
This is your radio station, DJs.
And we know what you love.
It's the DJA Radio Secret Password Giveaway. We have limited edition DJA Radio iPod Nanos.
And they belong to you.
Listen to every podcast every day for the secret password.
Once you hear it, put it in an email with your name, address, and phone number and send it to contest@djaradio.com.
We will draw a new winner every week. Listen to DJA Radio and win the limited edition DJA Radio iPod Nano. You think this is cool?
We're just getting started.
DJA Radio, the talk of the DJ world.
And the place to get some really cool free stuff.
Foxtrot, Alpha, Sierra, Kilo.
Happiness by the bucket. This is Being Jon Bruce, the special edition on DJA Radio. I'm Mark Ferrell. Thanks for downloading our show today. If you have questions or comments, suggestions about the show, feel free to contact me, Mark at DJA Radio, or you can give us a call toll-free in the United States, 1-888-DJ-TALK-1. That's 1-888-358-2551. Be sure to leave your contact information. Why? We'll give you a T-shirt, a DJA Radio Bottom Feeders T-shirt, if we use your message in our podcast. Back to the show now. This trip was wonderful. The first challenge came the very first day, which is often the case. On about 4 hours of sleep and coming from sea level, I began the trip with a very heavy pack, around 9,000 feet, and climbed along the Mammoth Crest to over 11,000 feet. The distance that day, that first day, was 5 miles. If you have Google Earth, which is very cool, if you don't have it, get it. It's free and it's amazing. In Google Earth, enter Mammoth Lakes, California. And it'll show you kind of the area that we started our trip in, specifically Lake George, which isn't listed, I don't think, but you can dial it in using latitude and longitude. Latitude north, 37 degrees, 36 minutes, 11.53 seconds. And the longitude, 119 degrees, 0 minutes, 4.77 seconds west. Elevation precisely at the trailhead, 9,041 feet. Awesome tool to check things out. I have to admit that we saw more types of terrain in a short period of time than I can ever remember, and I've been traveling in the Sierra Nevada now for, over 40 years. But this first part of the trip, more terrain than I've ever seen, different types of terrain than I've seen in a condensed area in all those years. It was weird. It started out with pine forests and lakes around Mammoth Mountain, very typical subalpine meadows and that sort of thing. And then it quickly turned into volcanic red rock in very strange formations, and volcanic red rock and sand underfoot, and twisted, weathered bonsai kind of pine trees that obviously have withstood a lot of time and snow and wind and rain and all kinds of weather. Really it almost looked like it looked similar to like a Japanese garden, only slightly weirder. We walked through a cinder cone, actually, to reach the Mammoth Crest. For those of you who don't know or are not familiar with Mammoth Mountain, Mammoth Mountain is a volcano, and that's where I ski every year. I have a season pass there. And if you've ever wanted to ski a volcano, an active volcano, by the way, you should go to Mammoth Mountain, and maybe we could plan a trip, a DJ ski trip. That would be fun. Anyhow, so we went through this cinder cone to reach the crest, where the terrain turned completely Martian. Ground granite sand and large grained sand and pebbles with half-buried boulders and stunted pine trees in these clusters that they didn't look as much like pine trees as they did. They looked like hedges. Very strange. But anyhow, that gave way to dramatic gorges, like with just within a few hundred yards, these deep rough and rugged gorges and a barren landscape, followed by then a quick descent into Deer Lakes in a high Sierra cirque. Now, if you don't know what a cirque is, it's a bowl, literally a bowl, almost 300 degrees around, where a glacier scooped out a whole bunch of earth and moved it downhill, basically, and it leaves this kind of hole. And usually in these cirques, there's you'll find a lake, a remnant lake that was left there from the last ice age about 16,000 years ago. So they're very classic in the Sierra, and it's called a cirque. If you want to see that lake and where we camped, it's latitude 37 degrees, 33 minutes, 45.35 seconds north, by a longitude of 118 degrees, 59 minutes, 20.9 seconds west. Elevation was 10,679 feet. Now, by the time I got to camp at Deer Lakes, I was exhausted. Didn't want to do anything. The mountain was working against me. Lack of sleep was working against me. The heavy load was working against me. And, of course, the thin air, the altitude was working against me. But you know something? I needed food. Water had to be gathered and filtered. Provisions needed to be made for that night. And we had to get some good rest in order to tackle the next day's challenge. And, of course, that trip the next day was amazing each step of the way. The terrain views were constantly differing. Each camp that we camped throughout the whole trip had a distinctly different feel. I mean, it was a really great trip. We enjoyed sunshine and mild temperatures throughout, and it never froze at night, so we didn't have to set up our tents. We slept out under the stars most nights until about the end of the trip. Our destination that day was Ram Lake, so we went cross-country to a place called Duck Lake, where we rested. We filled our water bottles for the climb up over Pica Col. Pica Col is the crux. That was the toughest part of this trip. A difficult cross-country route over a high, very rocky, steep col from Pica Lake near Duck Lake. You can find it at 37 degrees, 33 minutes, 10.63 seconds north by longitude, 118 degrees, 56 minutes, 19.91 seconds west. The elevation is 11,557 feet. So that's the actual col that we went over. Now, if you don't know what a col is, unlike a pass, it is usually just a notch with a couloir or an avalanche chute just below it, which is the case with Pica Col. It was a tedious boulder scramble to the top of this knife-edge pass, and we looked down at a very, very steep, very, very loose gauntlet of rock and scree and dirt and boulders. Now, if you don't know what scree is, when boulders come crashing down from the tops of mountains, they splinter and shatter into all kinds of small, slippery rocks. Then that's scree. So we took in the views from this knife edge at just under 12,000 feet, and then we took a deep breath and began the steep, loose descent down the other side. Up next, the reason I'm telling you this story and what it has to do with being a DJ. I'll be right back with Let Me Say This About That. I'm Mark Ferrell. You're listening to a special edition of Being Jon Bruce on DJA Radio.
Choose what works for you. DJA works for you. It's the DJA Radio Secret Password Giveaway.
Michael Maxfield from Aurora, Indiana. You are our winner of our DJA Radio Limited Edition iPod Nano.
No way.
Yeah, way.
That's awesome. I was just looking at one of those today, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool if I won the one from DJA Radio. Awesome.
You are kidding me. You are so kidding.
Hi, this is Robert Starkey, Lake Havasu, California.
Yes.
This is Bill Herman with DJA Radio, and you won the iPod Nano.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I can't wait to get that in the mail. Is that better? Oh, my God. I can't even believe that. Are you serious?
Seth Hoisington, Dallas, Texas. You won the limited edition iPod Nano.
Oh, that's awesome. Woo! My other one's dying, and I definitely need a new one.
Listen to DJA Radio and win the exclusive limited edition DJA Radio iPod Nano. If you think this is cool, we're just getting started on DJA Radio, the talk of the DJ world.
Alpha, Sierra, Kilo,
Charlie.
It's a special edition of Being Jon Bruce on DJA Radio with over 18,000 downloads in just 4 weeks. Wow. And growing. I'm Mark Ferrell. You know, you can get the DJA radio shows automatically downloaded to your computer or MP3 player while you're sleeping if you'd like, if you set it up that way. All you have to do is subscribe. It's a free subscription. DJA Radio RSS feed at DJARadio.com. For more information on how to do that, go to DJARadio.com. Click on the FAQ, or there's the little About Subscribing link at the bottom of any of the show notes. iTunes makes it very easy. If you have iTunes, click on the purple button, and it will automatically bring DJA Radio up on your screen, and then you just click on subscribe. And while you're at iTunes, you might as well write a review about DJA Radio. Tell the world what you think about DJA Radio by just clicking on that purple button, DJA Radio. It brings you right to iTunes. Then click on Write a Review. Monday, don't miss Knights of the Worth Table, seeking truth and professionalism for the DJ industry. Join the Knights every Monday around the Worth Table on DJA Radio. And hey, if you want to continue the discussion with peers in the profession, DJs just like you trying to make this a profession, go to our forums at DiscJockeyAmerica.com and join in on the conversation. Okay, back to the show now. These backcountry trips are always tough, always rewarding, always eye-opening, and always spectacular. And sometimes they're even dangerous. There are moments of elation, moments of exhaustion, moments of exhilaration, moments of lethargy. And the whole world condenses and emotions heighten. Senses are piqued during these trips. Food tastes better. The sky is bluer. Everything is sharpened and in focus. Tough times come at intervals and reveal a true nature of the person enduring them. I love taking friends and acquaintances backpacking with me because all pretense is shed within the first 24 hours. And we see ourselves in the purest light, happy, sad, frustrated, angry, whatever. Honesty. It's beautiful. In a world of dishonest people, honesty is the sweetest. And up there, it's impossible to flower anything up. It's impossible to blame the market or the big three for your failure. Up there, it's just you and the mountain. You own it. You own the truth, whatever it looks like. However unflattering, you own it. Talk about leaving your ego at the door. I would love to take some of these DJs on a backpacking trip. A lot of hard work had been done on that first part of the trip. The climb out of Lake George, the climb up to Pica Col especially was tough. The distance, the elevation, the pack weight, the climb, the talus hopping, all difficult. I was tired, and when I got to the knife edge of Pica Col, I was intimidated by what was left to do. It was daunting. Now, it was a huge accomplishment just to get there, but the goal wasn't quite yet achieved. We weren't down the other side and safe at camp, sipping on a hot cup of cocoa or something. I could have chosen to blame the mountain. I could have chosen to blame my friends. They could have chosen to blame me. But we had to get down the other side regardless. The fact that there was more hard work to do didn't negate the fact that we had already done hard work to get there. The mountain didn't take that away. My friends didn't take that away. It was what it was. Now, my friends could have said, hey, nothing has changed. And in some ways, I suppose it hadn't. The goal still hadn't been reached. But from my perspective, there was change. The goal was closer. The terrain had changed, and we had changed as human beings. I knew what I had achieved thus far. I was confident in what I achieved thus far, and nothing they could have said could change that. Nothing they could do could have changed that. The proof was right there. We were standing on that knife edge. Others who hadn't climbed Pica Col could sit on their couches and smugly say, oh, they tried it, but it didn't work. Maybe they had only gotten so far but didn't train properly. Maybe they got tired too quickly. And trying to save embarrassment would rather say, well, It can't be done. And then others could throw rocks at us while we were trying to accomplish the goal. They couldn't stand the thought of us succeeding because they thought they would be diminished in some way if we did succeed. So instead, they'd rather just stand back and throw rocks. My friends could have disagreed with the route or the technique. But there we were, all on the knife edge looking down, looking at what needed to be done. I could have screamed at my friends. I could have screamed at the mountain. I could have had my wife scream at the mountain. I could have felt hurt. I could have cried, unfair. I've done all this work already, and now I have to do more. No one's helping me. Everyone's criticizing. The mountain's not fair. Make it go away. It only seems to hurt me. We should have never tried it. Could have done all that. I could have just sat down, but the mountain would still exist. Uncaring. An uncaring reminder of my accomplishment and of my challenge, of my failure. I had a choice. Go back down the other way, the way I'd come. I could sit down and quit, which would mean certain death. Or I could face the challenge head on. I could continue. Sure, I was afraid. My pack was heavy. It seemed like there was a long way to go, and the first part was treacherous. No one could help me. They had their own work to do. I was on my own, only with my thoughts and my capabilities. No one could protect me. No one could fight my battle. So I took the lead. I selected the route. I was probably the most fearful of the three, but for me, it made sense to get out there and face it first. After all, why am I alive? To play it safe? To negotiate the mountain took diplomacy. I was careful not to assault it. I needed to work with it if I was going to survive. Literally. Gravity and loose stones worked against me. My friends dislodged rocks that rolled down toward me, threatening to brain me. But you know something? I don't believe that they did it on purpose or they were trying to hurt me. We're friends, and we share the same goal. At one point, Dave fell. Got scraped up pretty good. And our concern and attention suddenly turned to the welfare of the team. Reaching the last few hundred feet of the descent, Dave and Al took the lead. I was nearly spent. I was very tired. They made their way across the gorge and waited patiently as I negotiated the last boulder field. I wasn't resentful or angry that they went ahead of me. And they weren't angry that they had to wait. We had to reach the goal. We had to go to Ram Lakes. My way was not necessarily the right way. My way was not the only way. My way wasn't necessarily the wrong way. My way was a way, and it worked. It worked for me. It worked for my friends. But it may not have worked for the couch sitter. It may not have worked for the rock thrower, because they might be too busy defending their position on the couch or throwing rocks. We got to the bottom and the going was going to be easier. We were proud of what we had done. We anticipated how to reach even higher, wondering all along if there was an easier or better way than the way we went. As an industry, we've got a long way to go and a lot of challenges ahead. As some of my friends have heard me say before, what we're working to accomplish is like an expedition to Mount Everest. And you know where we are in this process? We're still sitting around the coffee table looking at travel brochures. We haven't even made the travel arrangements yet. The hard work is really still yet to come. Everybody that's contributed to our goal deserves kudos, however much or however little they gave, because all forward momentum makes a difference. The Taiwanese factory worker that made my boots wasn't physically there with me on that knife edge, but he most definitely helped me succeed. And everyone that only throws rocks or sits on the couch needs to get off their asses and do the work, or get into another line of business, please. This is their invitation to join me on a Sierra backpacking trip. I promise my people, or my goons, or the circle jerks as they've been called, won't get in your way. So this is your invitation to go. I'm Mark Ferrell. Thanks for downloading this special edition of Being Jon Bruce today. As always, we're interested in your thoughts, good or bad. For comments, complaints, or questions, call us in the U.S. toll-free 1-888-DJ-TALK-1, 1-888-358-2551. Leave your message. And, of course, we'll send you a Bottom Feeders t-shirt if we use your message in our podcast. If you have a show idea or a show that you would like to submit to DJA Radio, just send your MP3 or your email to mark@djaradio.com. If we use it, we might send you some money and you might join the staff here at DJA Radio. Tomorrow on DJA Radio, The Perfect Host with Jim Cerrone. If he says, you'll win a car. Listen to the nicest guy in Indiana and possibly in the United States of America, Jim Cerrone, The Perfect Host. Download it Sundays on DJA Radio. Monday, it's the Knights of the Worth Table, DJ Issues on the Table with 5 outspoken DJs who really care. Download Knights of the Worth Table every Monday on DJA Radio. And visit us online at DJARadio.com for our complete show schedule. Next week on Being Jon Bruce, who knows? Who cares? John will be John again next Saturday on DJA Radio, or he won't. Maybe he'll be Shirley MacLaine. I'm Mark Ferrell for Jon Bruce and all of the podcast personalities at DJA Radio. Have a great event this weekend, and I'll see you on the forums at DiscJockeyAmerica.com.
Thank you for listening to DJA Radio. For comments, complaints, or questions, call us toll-free in the U.S. at 1-888-DJ-TALK-1. That's 1-888-358-2551, and leave your message. If we use it on our podcast, we'll send you a DJA Radio Bottom Feeders t-shirt. Check DJARadio.com daily for new downloads and updates. DJA Radio is the talk of the DJ world.